Chapter 389, A Minor Conflict. Translator, Reverie, Editor, Kurisu. This was a medicine harvesting band, 7 martial artists serving as guards, along with 12 herb farmers bearing bamboo baskets on their backs. There was also a beautiful woman in red who seemed to be their employer. In total, they numbered 20. A medicine harvesting band of this size within the dark demon forest could only be counted as a small outfit. There were also herb-picking armies here, numbering in the hundreds, even the thousands. Ling Han's gaze swept over them. The 7 guards were all at the spiritual ocean tier, truly a capable escort. The one who had invited him was a 40-year-old burly man, tall and solid, with arms thicker than Ling Han's waist and muscles carved as if from iron, shockingly distinct. Before Ling Han could even answer, the red-clothed woman, her brows already faintly knit, spoke with displeasure. Guard Wu, if you wish to invite someone into the team, why didn't you first seek my opinion? The burly man threw back his head and laughed, saying, We agreed before we set out that we would recruit 10 guards, and we've only managed to recruit 7 so far. I, as captain of the guard squad, naturally have the right to recruit people. So the others aren't qualified, the red-clothed woman said. He qualifies. The burly man pointed at Ling Han. The 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Tell me, is that not enough? What, this young man was actually at the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier? The others were all shocked, feeling Ling Han was far too young. Lady Ding, let him join the team. Yeah, the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier isn't weak. The other guards began urging her one after another. Though the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier certainly wasn't high in terms of cultivation, reaching it while still in one's teens clearly meant something. What? That Ling Han's background was exceedingly remarkable. Though this place was chaotic beyond measure, if someone of the Winter Moon sect or the Half Moon sect happened to be nearby, it could be life-saving at a critical moment. Thus, these people naturally wouldn't refuse Ling Han joining them and adding one more layer of insurance to their lives. The red-clothed woman pondered a moment, then said, All right, but Guard Wu, you will be responsible for keeping him out of trouble. Deal! The burly man laughed as he nodded, then flashed Ling Han a grin and said, Little brother, how about it? 1 day for 1 origin crystal. You won't run into such a fine job every day. Spiritual ocean tier warriors could only refine 1 origin crystal per month, and now obtaining 1 per day. The treatment was indeed not bad. Ling Han burst into laughter and said, You all have been talking among yourselves. I don't recall ever saying I wanted to join you, right? You've got an objection? The red-clothed woman was already unhappy. Hearing that Ling Han refused to join, her expression darkened all at once. Such nerve! Slap him! Ling Han shook his head. He felt he had truly been struck by disaster while walking properly down the road without provoking anyone. How had misfortune come upon him? Could it be he really had a troublesome constitution, drawing trouble wherever he went? You think I'm easy to bully? He was angered and lifted his hand, lashing toward the red-clothed woman. Stop! The 7 guards shouted in unison and moved at once, one after another, to intercept him, blocking Ling Han's path. These people's tiers varied, but the weakest was at the 6th layer, and the strongest at the 9th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. However, none of them possessed battle prowess surpassing their own tier. After all, most people were ordinary through and through. Ling Han merely smiled faintly as sword intent erupted in an instant. Shoo! 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 7 streaks of sword chi shot forth, slashing toward the 7 guards. What battle prowess did he have? When he had been at the 1st layer of the spiritual ocean tier, he possessed 16 stars, and now it had rocketed to 20 stars, surpassing the other party's strongest by 11 stars of battle prowess. This was outright suppression. The 7 guards struck by those 7 streaks of sword chi were all sent flying at the same time. Fortunately, Ling Han held back, only opening a small wound on each of their chests. Otherwise, this strike would have taken their lives. Pa, the red-clothed woman, was slapped squarely across the face, 3 of her teeth whipping out. Don't always look at people with that condescending gaze. This slap is a small lesson for you. If there's a next time, I'll take your life, Ling Han said coldly. The red-clothed woman ground her teeth, her face a mask of disbelief. First, Ling Han was only at the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, yet had actually sent 7 of her guards flying. And second, this fellow actually dared to strike her? She was a daughter of the Ding family and lovely as a blossom. Was this fellow blind? Even more, how ruthless could he be to strike a beautiful face like hers? Ling Han turned and left. Whether the 7 guards or the medicinal farmers, all remained silent, not daring to utter a sound. Ling Han's strength was so far beyond their imagination that even now, they still hadn't recovered their senses. "A bunch of good-for-nothings," the red-clothed woman scolded furiously, covering her delicate, swollen face, and said, "Hurry to Rising Wind's stronghold. Gao Yang clan's brother is there. Ask him to deal with that damned brat." Lady Ding, that youngster has the cultivation of the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier at such a young age, and his battle prowess is even more astonishing. He must have a powerful background, so why not let this go? The burly man surnamed Wu advised. Since it was he who had spoken of recruiting Ling Han, he felt somewhat responsible. In the dark demon forest. So what if he has a strong background? It'll be useless if he dies here. The red-clothed woman's gaze brimmed with bitter resentment. She couldn't swallow this humiliation. Go! The team continued onward. After walking for half a day, a stronghold appeared before Ling Han. This was Gust Demon Clan territory, a place that provided temporary shelter for martial artists. Ling Han also wanted to ask about crimson red chilling ice grass, so he entered the stronghold, the price being 1 origin crystal. The stronghold wasn't large. It covered the area of a small village. The surrounding sturdy trees had been fashioned into a barricade, but the houses within were built of bamboo, boasting extremely poor soundproofing and privacy. There were truly people of all trades here. Ling Han saw several girls dressed revealingly standing by the roadside, casting coquettish glances at passers-by. If they liked what they saw, they would link arms and leave together. Soon, lively sounds from within the bamboo houses would drift out, enough to make one's blood run hot. For martial artists, after living through an intense adventure, they naturally hope to relax a little. Where there was need, there would be a market. Even in a perilous place like the Dark Demon Forest, the most ancient professions still flourished. As Ling Han walked past, quite a few of these girls tried to entice him, but he paid them no heed, striding straight toward a tavern. He ordered a few things, but his true purpose was to ask around. "Hey, have you guys heard the renowned fairy Zhu came here several days ago?" "What?" "Zhu Xuan the one known as the most beautiful woman in the North region? Is she really that beautiful?" "Far more. As I see it, she should be called the most beautiful in the world. But since she dares enter the Dark Demon Forest, is she not afraid of becoming a lamb in a tiger's den? Hehe, who knows how many people want to take this beauty as their private pet? Besides, this is the Dark Demon Forest. If someone falls into enemy hands here, even the Half Moon Sect can't do a thing. You don't have a share anyway." "Pa, neither do you." Hearing their chatter, Ling Han shook his head. Zhu Xuan was only a spiritual pedestal tier cultivator. If she encountered a flower blossom tier, she wouldn't even have the chance to flee. It was surprising she dared come here alone. He raised his wine cup, walked over to a table where 3 people sat, and said, "3 fellow brothers, I have something to ask of you. Is there a place here where cold and heat intertwine?" Chapter 390, You're Tricking Me? Translator, Reverie, Editor, Kurisu. Youngster, you've only just stepped into the demon forest, haven't you? A brawny man of some 30 years said, smiling at Ling Han. Yes. Ling Han nodded. One look was enough to tell. The others all carried an intense mud stench, the scent of days and nights weathering in the forest. The brawny man chuckled under his breath, extended a hand, and said, "Here, everything can be traded. If you want to ask questions, you have to offer benefits." "How much?" Ling Han smiled faintly. His purse was once again swelling, so he was naturally indifferent toward origin crystals. 1 origin crystal. The brawny man raised a single finger. 1 question for 1 origin crystal. What a shady bargain. Ling Han didn't truly care. So long as he could find crimson red chilling ice grass, even if he paid 1,000,000 origin crystals, he wouldn't feel regret. He immediately handed over 1 origin crystal. The brawny man took the origin crystal and stifled a laugh. Time to answer the question. Ling Han rapped the tabletop. All right. The brawny man nodded and said, "I don't know." Ling Han's gaze instantly turned razor sharp as he said, "You're tricking me? Youngster, I'm teaching you a lesson. When you're out in the martial world, grow up a bit. Don't believe people so easily." The brawny man laughed, not the least bit worried that Ling Han might strike at him, because this was Gus Demon Clan territory. If Ling Han dared use violence here, he would be driven out, and at worst killed. Otherwise, this place wouldn't be a safe refuge. It was said that strongholds like this even sheltered many notoriously vicious wanted criminals who fled here while being hunted by sects like the Winter Moon sect and the Beast Emperor sect. Yet they didn't dare use violence inside the stronghold. It was plain just how domineering the four great forces were here. Ling Han took in the man's arrogance and casually swept a hand across the table. Instantly, 10 ginsengs appeared atop it, each as thick as an arm, their roots sinewy like coiling dragons. Hiss! At the sight, eyes bulged wide. These were at least 200 to 300 year precious ginsengs. Within the dark demon forest, there indeed were ginseng treasures like these, but one had to enter the forest's core. That place was far too dangerous, not to mention that few ever went in. Even the beasts were scarce there, so spirit medicines grew in great mounds with astonishing maturity. A single precious ginseng like this would easily fetch several dozen origin crystals. 10 of them was worth several hundred origin crystals, an immense fortune. If spiritual ocean tier warriors didn't steal or rob, they would need at least a dozen years to refine such wealth. At once, breaths hastened and eyes turned red, hands itching to snatch. Ling Han smiled faintly. Pointing at the earlier brawny man, he said, "These ginseng will belong to whoever kills him." In an instant, every gaze pinned the brawny man. This man was only at the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier. To erase him would be no harder than flipping a palm for late-stage spiritual ocean tier martial artists. Where else could one find a business that paid several hundred origin crystals for lifting a finger? Moreover, 100-year-old ginsengs were great tonics. Ordinary medicinal pills couldn't heal the hidden injuries that inevitably accumulated when these martial artists fought people and beasts. Only such grand tonics could cleanse them completely. Such treasure might be met by luck, but never by searching. "Youngster, violence can't be used inside the stronghold," someone said. Ling Han smiled and said, "No matter. You all just watch. Though I will leave soon, I'll place these 10 ginsengs with the stronghold master. Whoever kills him can collect it from the stronghold master. Are you all reassured now?" "Okay, that works." Everyone nodded. There were certainly those who issued missions inside the stronghold and asked for help. Yet since it went through the Gus Demon Clan, there was inevitably a rake-off. Therefore, everyone hoped the brawny man would leave the stronghold soon. If they killed him without delay, they could receive the reward from Ling Han directly. That way, they could avoid losing part of it to the Gus Demon Clan. The brawny man's face turned green. Never had he imagined that tricking one origin crystal from Ling Han would lead to him possibly being killed. He hurriedly fished out the origin crystal as though it were a scorching hot potato and flung it toward Ling Han. "I don't want your origin crystal. Hurry up and withdraw your bounty." Which family's spoiled second generation was this? Squandering precious ginsengs like this. Did his mother know he was this kick-ass? Ling Han didn't catch it and said, "Keep it. It'll be just enough to order a good casket." The brawny man was on the verge of crying from fear. He only wanted to take a small advantage. But who could have thought it would draw down deadly misfortune? He hurriedly dropped to the ground and kowtowed, kneeling toward Ling Han as he said, "Little lord, I was wrong. Please forgive me." "You really know your wrongs?" Ling Han smiled. "I really do." The brawny man kept slapping his own face, slap after slap with great force, so much so that blood even seeped out. Ling Han nodded and said, "All right, this bounty is cancelled." Instantly, the brawny man exhaled in relief, but the others were dissatisfied, feeling they had been played. There weren't many amiable folk here. Many stared at Ling Han with ominous glints. And once Ling Han left the stronghold, "Hey." Ling Han remained unperturbed and said, "The bounty just now is cancelled," and changed to a new one. "Whoever knows, tell me where in the forest do cold and heat intertwine. These 10 precious ginsengs will be theirs. For real? Expressions snapped back into delighted surprise. Ling Han nodded and said, "Of course it's for real. However, if anyone takes me for a fool and points out some random place, then I won't mind issuing another bounty for that person." People clicked their tongues. The brawny man only cheated Ling Han out of 1 origin crystal, and yet Ling Han issued a bounty of 10 treasure ginsengs. If someone cheated Ling Han out of 10 treasure ginsengs, then what price tag would Ling Han hang for that bounty? Such a spoiled second generation was truly frightening, rich, and thus intractable. For a moment, the crowd fell silent. Those who'd entertained thoughts of deception were genuinely frightened. "This young lord, I know a place that matches your description." After a while, someone spoke up. He described a location in the northwest part of the Dark Demon Forest and gave Ling Han a map, clearly marking the spot. Ling Han questioned him carefully, but was very disappointed. It indeed was a place where cold and heat intertwined, but it was far too different from his needs. Still, to show sincerity, he gave the person 10 treasure ginsengs to establish his credibility. Anyone else who knows of such a place, 1 clue for 10 treasure ginsengs. Ling Han waved his hand and produced 10 more 100-year-old ginsengs. This thing was like cabbage to him anyway. Someone received a reward. This immediately stirred many others. Even the bystanders wanted to try their luck. If they didn't personally know, it didn't matter. Couldn't they ask around? "I'll be staying here for 2 days. If anyone has news, come find me," Ling Han said so all could hear, then left the tavern and rented a guest room.